The proximity of the feet to the head is no different from the proximity of the servant to the ruler. Welcome to a fresh episode. Here we are going to It Happened to Me. That's the story we left out. Page 10 of PMP of June 5 to 8, 2003. We stopped in the last video, we stopped at Butchway 2000. We did leadership, then we came to Butchway 2000. Today we're going to It Happened to Me by Patrick Naughty. Uh, Namshi. It was a fine morning, and I was in school at exactly 6. I later went to my classroom to put my books down. I came out and saw the senior on duty, into brackets, a girl, and she asked me where I was going, and I told her I was going to eat. I then headed towards the school canteen, and I heard her calling me. I turned back and looked at her. She did not give me any signal. Neither did she say I should come, so I went away. After eating, I met another senior on my way to the classroom who asked me to come and work. I told her that our classroom I told her that our classroom and floors were already swept. She then asked me to follow her. I then asked, "What am I going to what am I going to do over there? My class is already swept." She then replied in an angry in she then replied in an angrily oh no, let me correct it. She then replied angrily, saying, "When I was informed one, after I swept my classroom, I was asked to go and scrub the girls' urinal. So you are going to do that?" I got furious and told her, the senior was a tico, into brackets, the senior was a tico. Don't get me angry. Tico in inverted commas, don't get me angry. What do you mean by me going to scrub the girls' urinal? I do not even urinate there. She looked terrified after I had spoken. I could see that I could see that, so she did not utter even a word. Paragraph. She then led me to the place where a group of other seniors were gathered and handed me over to one of them. Without wasting much time, she started quizzing me. Are you a Christian or a churchgoer? I then replied, for that I can't tell. During the interrogations, the senior who called me when I was going to eat appeared on the scene and shouted, "This is the boy who was going to eat when I called him." He didn't even mind me. This worsened my plight. The senior asked me, "Why didn't you mind her when she called you?" I narrated to her everything that had happened. I was able to convince her so that so that matter was laid to rest. Paragraph. Let's move on to case number 2. Let's move on to case number 2, said the senior. What did you tell your senior when she asked you to go and scrub the girl's urinal? I did not utter a word. She repeated that question, and I asked her, if you were to be in my shoes, would you do that nasty job? She then said, "Bad boy, you have no respect for your seniors. You are a greenhorn, and is this the way you've started life in this school?" She continued, "Come on, kneel down." I did as she said. I knelt down for about 5 minutes, and some other seniors asked me what I had done, and I narrated to them what happened. They did not do they did not do or say anything. They left me to my fate. At a certain point in time, all the seniors were standing quiet were standing quite far away from me. A senior appeared on the scene and asked me to throw away a biscuit wrapper. A biscuit wrapper, full stop. I obeyed and took that as an advantage for my escape. I threw the wrapper away and sat quietly in my classroom. Paragraph. I was in the classroom happily reading my notes when I heard some people say, hey. I turned to see who they were. There and then I saw the angry faces of the seniors. They, s- they said they had reported me to one of the teachers whom I feared very much because he could lash students to a point that they even wet themselves before realizing it. I became frightened. They led the way to the teacher as I followed. They led the way to the teacher as I followed. Paragraph. When we read there, the teacher, without asking me anything, gave me 7 strong lashes on my head. He described that as a way of welcoming me to his abode. The teacher started squeezing the teacher started quizzing me. I was found guilty. He gave me nearly 20 lashes on my back. As I was leaving the place, I told one of them, you are dead if you should fall into my trap. I want you to always remember that. Look at the junior telling the seniors. She reported the incident to that same teacher. This time around, I was reported to the headmistress. I was suspended for 3 days. I came back to school as a changed person. Those seniors are now my friends, even though I do not want any girl as a friend. My friends couldn't believe their eyes when I walked and chatted freely with them. Once a friend asked me this question: how can a Form 1 boy have friends who are girls in Form 3? I replied, I replied by saying, a time will come when traditional enemies shall become friends. That's how the world is. By Patrick Naughty. All right. Next subject, or next story, sorry, next story. My deepest regret. And this was written by Seth Mawusi Asafo. Seth Mawusi Asafo. Okay. Life is full of enjoyment, but as a well-known fact, too much of everything is bad. My love for girls and sex had led me so far away from reality. Sooner or later, I am going to die of HIV. Oh my God. Mhm. As the last as the last born and the only boy of my parents who were very well off, I was exposed to a lot of pampering. I received everything I wanted on request. As a result of this, the outside world saw me as a dadaba, and people were always willing to be in my company. Dadaba means son of father. You know, when you are in good position, everybody calls you father, father. So it's everybody's father. So dadaba means the real son of everybody's father. Yes, dadaba means the real son, the biological son of everybody's father. So that's what that means. Uh, Willing to be in my I received everything. As a result of this, the outside world saw me as a dadaba, and people were always willing to be in my company. Paragraph. As I grew up, I decided to take advantage of this goodwill from the outside world to become popular, but my main aim was to attract girls and do whatever I wanted with them. Before I completed junior secondary school, I had well over 17 girlfriends with whom I had unprotected sex. Yes, you did well. Agesheka. Eh? When the Hausa man says Agesheka, that means Agesheka means you are worth being praised. You are praiseworthy. But that's different from the praiseworthy in the Quran. So Agesheka. Okay. I had with all the girlfriends with whom I had unprotected sex. In the senior secondary school, the situation got worse and worse because I could no longer control my desire for having fun and sex. Fortunately for me, I found some seniors who really liked my company because I was rich, into brackets, cast thanks to my parents, brackets close. In fact, I was a lucky kid, and these seniors and chilling. In fact, I was I was a lucky kid, and these seniors and I had something in common: going to town and chilling, as we could call it. You know how he spelled lucky? Lucky kid. Lucky is in brackets, and he spelled lucky as Luchi and not Y. And that is in brackets. I was a lucky kid, and this seniors and I had something in common: going to town and chilling, we as we call it. It wasn't strange for us to be seen going to the various nightclubs and arenas looking for prostitutes. Kai. Well, I just see the word prostitutes is there, looking for prostitutes. Paragraph. Sooner than I had anticipated, my name spread far and near as cash money because I really had money. Honestly, I wasn't surprised when I started receiving love letters from both my seniors and mates, and actually seized that opportunity to satisfy my lust with the cheap girls around. Full stop. Uh, with their help, I do not have to pay prostitutes any longer. Hey, hmm. Okay. Okay. Let me repeat that. With their help, I do not have to pay prostitutes any longer. Paragraph. In addition to all this, I was a good dancer and basketball player. After a while, so many guys began trooping to my cubicle for advice on how to con girls and execute them. Execute in bracket in inverted commas. How to con girls, con in also in inverted commas, and spell CO, and how to con girls and execute them. At first, I did not understand, but I got to know that information was leaking out that I was the best Casanova in town. Full stop. Many people warned their children not to associate themselves with me, and soon I was miserable. With this realization, I put an abrupt end to my mischief and never indulged in any of those acts. Apparently, it's too late. Hmm? Apparently, it was too late. I never indulged in those acts. This was the point at which my life changed for good. I wished I could turn back the hands of time. Full stop. Being a good dancer, our group was selected to perform in a competition involving other schools, which we gladly did. Paragraph. In fact, we were marvelous. After the performance, I was approached by a beautiful girl with all the features a guy would ever want, and instantly I lusted after her. Yes, he backslided. Eh? So I lusted after her. Let me replace it by I backslided. So, my own words. Uh, as a guy would ever want, and instantly I lusted after her. And through my efforts, I managed to have casual sex with her. After this act, I never heard from her again. Yes, she was sent to come and donate aid to you. Let me use the word donate. Hmm? I completed school, and out of the blue, I became very ill. Full stop. Doctors examined me 1,000 times but found no possible cause of this mysterious disease. Finally, I was advised to take the HIV test, and the test proved positive. Hmm. Now I'm sadly waiting for my grief. Sorry, now I am sadly waiting my grief because sooner or later I will go. I don't think you can differentiate between a broomstick and me personally. Oh my God. So everything being normal, but said Mawusi is no more alive. Everything being normal, and except with the intervention of God the Almighty. And I can trust myself that by now he's no more alive. Sad, isn't it? So we have to be careful with women, and women also to be careful with men. Mm. Even when there was no AIDS. We don't know AIDS in the early 60s and 70s. Sleeping with women without caution cause problems. Because you sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep with them. At the time, you can't even lift your leg to walk. I saw it with my elders. They will sleep. You know that they are womanizer. Before long, you see that they are weak. They can't walk. Lift a leg is. And the women are there. And more are there. It is now that women are pouring into the world. Yes. You will look and you can't do. Sad. Okay. Uh, enough of my okro mouth. The Westerners don't know okro. Ghanaian, we know okro. Or okra, some people call it. Uh, heart to heart. That's page 11. And that was page 10 we read, I suppose. Yes, page 10. And now page 11, heart to heart. It's, people looking for partners, either girlfriends or husbands. It's all in your star. That's horoscope. Then, heart to heart phone call. We leave it. We can skip it. We can leave it out and go to the next page. And the next page is yes, you and your health. Doctor, bedwetting stress. Bedwetting stress. What can cause shortness of breath that comes and goes throughout the day? Then mouth ulcers. Well, I think we should go there. Uh, there's something to learn from there. So bedwetting stress. Question. Question. I've been having a tight-chested feeling in my upper lungs for a long time now. It's more noticeable in the mornings and the late evenings. I try to breathe deep to alleviate this feeling, but to no avail. It feels like the effect of breathing a harsh chemical at times. Let me take that again. It feels like the effect of breathing a harsh chemical at times. I'm female, age 31. I haven't seen a doctor because I thought this problem would be temporary, but I am becoming concerned. The writer, Mami, and she's in La Paz, Ghana, Accra. La Paz, yes. And she's in La Paz, Accra, Ghana. Doctor says, so let's listen to doctor's advice. Doctor says, this is a very difficult question to answer without seeing you in person. The best I can do is try to describe some of the illnesses that can cause shortness of breath and explain how their symptoms may differ you. Yes, doctor, we are ready to hear. Okay, since I specialize in infectious diseases, I, I will start with infections. Many infections can cause shortness of breath. Most involve pneumonia, infection of the lung. Other causes include bronchitis, which is infection of the bronchial tubes that lead to the lungs, and epiglottitis. And epiglottitis, uh, a severe infection of the upper airway that can lead to suffocation. Full stop. Viruses, bacteria, and even fungi can cause these infections. The severity of the disease can vary considerably. Dash, they can be sudden and severe or chronic and mild. Uh, Paragraph. Most infectious, sorry, most infectious causes of shortness of breath, however, tend to be monophasic, which means the infection progresses for a time, and then either resolves on its own or with treatment, or causes the patient to die. Oh, this is frightening, doctor. Alberca, production. Hmm? Or causes the patient to die. Okay, these are many exceptions to this general rule. Though there are many exceptions to this general rule, but it's quite unusual for an infection to cause lung disease and shortness of breath for years, with symptoms off and on. Another feature of most Another feature of most, but not all infections like diseases is fever. So, for example, if a patient has shortness of breath every once in a while for every year or for over a year, and he or she has no fever, an infection is not likely to be the cause. Full stop. In your case, I will assume you are not having fever. In addition, your symptoms seem to come and go. Based on this limitation, both based on this limited information, I would say that an infection is relatively unlikely. Uh, okay, I suppose this is another question, but the sign of Q is not there, E is there. But let's see, it's another question. What can cause shortness of breath that comes and goes throughout the day? Heart disease. Let me continue. Heart disease is one possibility. A person with heart disease may become short of breath. Isn't that what we did? Okay, let me go. Even if it's what I've read, it's also there it's there in a different column. This is what we read, and this is what I'm reading now. Okay, heart disease is one possibility. A person with heart disease may become short of breath when performing relatively strenuous activities during the day. Oh, we haven't done it. Heart disease can also cause tightness in the chest and shortness of breath only while reclining, into brackets, a symptom called ortho, orthopnea, a symptom called orthopnea. But you didn't mention this. How can he mention a doctor? But then he can't call orthopnea. I myself, I cannot call orthopnea. Eh? Uh, but he didn't mention this. Okay, paragraph. Although there's no way to know without examining you, I think that a lung problem other than infection is a more likely cause of your symptoms. One possibility is asthma, a disease characterized by spasm of the bronchial tubes. Full stop. Paragraph. This bronchospasm, this bronchospasm can be triggered by almost anything, including pets and the ever-present dust mites. Might spelled MITE, and the ever present dust mite. Full stop. This is an appealing diagnosis in your case because your symptoms seem to occur while you are at home in the morning and evening. I would be curious to know if your symptoms occur at these times, even if you are not at home. That one we can't know. That's the matter between he and the doctor. Paragraph. There are other syndromes in which a person develops shortness of breath after exposure to agents in the environment, but in these diseases, symptoms are usually more persistent than those you describe. I recommend you see your doctor who can examine you and determine whether your heart and lungs are normal. Full stop. A chest x ray can help determine whether you have lung infection. If the exam and x ray are normal, you may need to seek medical attention while you are having your symptoms. Full stop. Occasionally, with asthma and other disorders, the patient is completely normal between attacks. Okay. We go to mouth ulcers. Mouth ulcers. Question. What causes mouth ulcers? A friend told me that acidic foods can cause them. So I cut out things like pineapples, oranges, etc. But I'm still getting an ulcer into brackets sometimes two, sometimes two, sometimes two, sometimes two every 2 weeks. That's once a week or so. How can I get rid of this problem? Nana B. Koforidua. Nana B. Koforidua. Doctor says, your ulcers sound like cold sores. Cold sores are small red blisters that generally affect the mouth and facial areas. They are a symptom of herpes simplex type 1, a virus similar to the one that causes genital herpes. Full stop. Paragraph. Cold sores are a common malady. Full stop. The bad news is that herpes has no cure. Well, I don't know if now it has cure. It has a cure. Okay. The bad news is that herpes has no cure. Once you've caught it, the virus remains in your body, causing blisters whenever your immune system is weak. Full stop. That's right. Your immune system is most likely responsible for your outbreaks. Paragraph. Acidic foods don't cause them, but they will make the source more uncomfortable and slow the healing process. If you've got herpes, if you've got oral herpes recently, that may explain the sudden frequency of your outbreaks. Full stop. Herpes outbreaks tend to be more dramatic immediately after infection because your body's immune system hasn't developed resistance to the virus. Full stop. As you get older, you will probably find that your cold sores happen less frequently. In the meantime, you can avoid outbreaks by adopting habits that bolster your immune system. Moderation is the key. Then there are points here. Fingers. These are the points. Okay, let's see. Finger one. Avoid exercising to exertion. This is good advice. Avoid exercising to exhaustion. Avoid indulgence in alcohol. Get enough sleep. Use sunblock lip balm to protect the tissues in your lips. Then the last part. Finally, if you find that these ulcers don't heal within 2 weeks, go see your dentist to rule out other problems. Many types of skin cancer can also show up in the mouth, into brackets, squamous basal cell carcinoma, comma, melanoma, brackets close. These are extremely dangerous and require treatment as soon as they are caught. We go to the last two stories. The family lawyer. Can we divorce? Hmm? Okay. Can she stop the wedding ceremony? Anxiety. Can she stop the wedding ceremony? Hmm. I recently broke up with my ex-girlfriend with whom I had gone out for the past 3 years. After a misunderstanding between us, I have engaged another lady, and we are planning to have our wedding next month in our church. Everything is in place. My only worry is that my old girlfriend has recently threatened to object to the marriage on the wedding day. Full stop. According to her, she would object when the pastor asks anyone who is against the marriage to come forward. I'm confused because I know the extent to which she can go when angry. I need your advice on this. Oh, I remember this story. I need your advice on this. Samuel Ofosu Kedi, Ghana. Lawyer says, your peculiar problem has come about as a result of the unnecessary practice of the marriage officers asking the congregation on the wedding day whether they have an objection to the wedding or not. But they should do it before it's too late. They should do it. Lawyer. I have described it as unnecessary because the law is clear on the mode of objecting to marriages under the ordinance into brackets wedding. If the marriage is into brackets wedding, if the marriage is going to be celebrated in church by a marriage officer, the objection should be in writing to the person who announces the impending wedding ceremony in the church, or what is known as the publication of the banns. Banns spelled BANNS. Full stop. The objection will then be forwarded to the marriage officer, who will refer it to the judge of the nearest high court. Okay, I now understand the lawyer. There is a process, there is a procedure to follow, a protocol to follow. Okay, paragraph. The judge will then scrutinize the grounds of objection. This even if thus even if the person chooses to openly object to the marriage on the wedding day and in front of the congregation, it is irrelevant and void, and the marriage officer can proceed to conduct the marriage. Full stop. In your present circumstance, you either have to make peace with your ex or prevent her from attending the ceremony. Alternatively, you could discuss it with your marriage officer for him not to ask those unnecessary questions. Okay, another anxious question. Another question from an anxious person. Can we divorce? Can we divorce? Uh, I got married to my husband 6 months ago. During our courtship, he was loving and really romantic, but a really romantic man. But a few weeks after our marriage, he has changed totally. Yes, that's how men are. After tasting it, they change. Mm. Anyway, maybe sometimes they detect something bad with a woman. Okay, he has changed totally. He comes back late from work, and if I complain, he insults me. If I complain, he insults me. And one occasion, he nearly hit me. I'm fed up for this. Is not. I'm fed up for this. Is not the man I married. Mm, Okay. Uh, I'm contemplating filing for divorce. Some friends, however, have been advising me against it, but I can't bear it any longer. When I confided in a lawyer friend to file a divorce for me, he told me that it was premature. I've decided to find out from you whether it is really true or it's just that my friends want to dissuade me from filing for the divorce. AKP, Tamale, Ghana. Hmm? Lawyer says, generally, for those who marry under marriage ordinance, the law states that the courts must entertain a petition for divorce within the first 2 years of the marriage. The essence of this The essence of this provision could be traced to the belief that those early months are to allow the couple to adjust to one another. In the course of these adjustments, friction and quarrels are expected to occur from time to time, but with the passage of time, they would come out of it. They would come out of it. That's a couple, as a man and wife. Paragraph. This provision is, however, not absolute in the sense that the law has made an exception to this 2 year rule. The exception is that where a party can substantiate hardship suffered by him or her in the early part of the marriage, he/she can be granted permission by the court to file for divorce. The grant of permission on its refusal, the grant, the grant of permission on its refusal is based on the discretion of the judge. Let me repeat that. The grant of permission on its refusal is based on the discretion of the judge. Last paragraph. I doubt very much whether in your case it could qualify under this condition, although you could try it. On the other hand, you may have to work at making your marriage last by seeking counsel from your parents or marriage counselors. And that was page 12. We just did. We go to page 13. Okay. Religious corner. Mm, we will reserve it to our next episode. Mm. Like Ghanaians usually say, we will keep it in the fridge. to the next issue. And it looks like page 13. The only column that is interesting is that part. Let's see, pen pals. Then lesson 7 questions. Pen pals. Okay. We will do it next week because these are questions and answers to about the Bible, I suppose. So we will do that, and then we go to the answers to Bible quiz number 036. Mm. Viewers, thank you very much for viewing. Mm. I hope we shall all benefit from it, the young especially, but also the average and the old. Mm. It's a reminder, it reminds us of how to conduct ourselves in every life endeavor that we face. Mm. So, as usual, thank you very much. Mm. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Bye bye. Il